Guys, I have to tell you something. The Friday curse is becoming ridiculous. It truly is. Wargarble has now witnessed what happens before a show, and it's not all good. So, other than that, how's everybody doing today? Y'all doing fine? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing better than me. I hope your blood pressure's acting right, okay? But welcome to the episode 73 of the Made in Dreams podcast. We don't have Jammy today. Jammy got a little sicky poo, so he couldn't join us. But you snooze, you lose. I've been waiting for this episode for a while. I think since episode 1. I think that's when I first said that I wanted to have Wargarble on here. But yeah, I've already spoiled it. We have the man, the myth, Wargarble on here today. Finally, I've been waiting for it. I can't. He's the busiest man in Dreams, and it's good to have you on the show. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing pretty good, my dude. Yeah, like you said, this has been a long time coming. I think we tried a couple times before too, just schedule differences and my end and stuff. Yeah, but I'm fine. We're here.
Yes,
So
and
we're finally doing it.
I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started on this episode. I don't know if we're here for a long time or just a good time, but we'll see where we end up. Let's start with your bio. Who is the man, the myth? Who is Wargarble?
My real name is Ethan. Last name is York, as in New York. So that's me. I've always been into art and creating stuff as a child, ever since I was young. Just been doing that my entire life. And just into creating, just in general, just like with drawing. Started off with drawing, got into creative writing. I've always loved video games as an only child, so I didn't really have. And I live in a busy street, car accidents all the time, almost every month, so couldn't really go outside much. Wasn't very safe. So yeah, I just always loved creating. I just had a lot of time to do it, a lot of time to develop those skills. Started making music probably like in 5th grade, I think. So I got my first guitar, was plucking away at that, and then really got into music in high school, and then from then on it was a bigger hobby. And then yeah, Dreams is my first time me getting into the 3D stuff. Yeah, I just love creation. I love games, love movies. I know me and you share that interest in film. Yeah, that's that's my interest there. If you want a nice tear, if you want a nice tearjerker, well, kind of. When I was born, I might have tweeted this before. I don't know. I don't say it again.
Wait, you tweeted it when you were born?
No. So when I was born, fun fact. I have a scar in my neck here. So when I was born, I don't have an artery here like most people have. This is actually cut open. They cut it when I was born because I had fluid in my lungs and my heart had a hole in it that didn't heal up right away. So I had a 6% chance of living when I was born. And there was I can't remember which hospital, but it's the only hospital in my tri-state area that had it's called an ECMO machine, which acts as your heart and lungs. And it's the only hospital in the tri-state area that had that, and that saved me. So they put me there. And then, so that's where I came from.
That's the best one yet. And might I say, I mean, I don't want. I'll do this just once, but when you said your last name, I was like, Mr. York, and that sounds like money. That sounds like some deep pockets right there. All right, well, anyway.
No.
He's like, not that deep.
No, I'm doing okay, but no.
Are you sure there's no like Esquire on the back of that or anything?
I mean, I own a suit, but that's about it.
Nice. You're above. Hey, that's beyond some. So we count ourselves lucky around here, especially you with that story, man. That's crazy. I mean. Hey,
there's a fun fact.
Fun. Okay. All right. I mean, you made it. So I guess we laugh at everything we survive. So, for me though, you're super inspirational to me in the landscape of Dreams. And if you don't mind me saying, you're basically like who I want to be when I grow up. Like you're
Oh my god. Oh my god.
because you remind me
Okay.
of me a lot in the fact that you seem to be a jack of all trades. Like, music, sculpting, game design, like as you stated, you started out, it seems again just like me, where Dreams is your first venture into 3D, into using a program like it. There's nothing like it, but that sense.
Right.
So like, where did you start? Did you start with a familiar ground like music, or did you just jump in and start doing?
I just jumped in and messed with. Well, first off, thank you for that compliment. That was incredibly nice of you. That means a lot to hear. Um, I jumped in messing with the camera. I wanted to mess with the camera and animation, so I did frame by frame animation with the paint strokes, and I did some abstract thing. The very first thing I ever did is my very first creation that's published. It's as a scene called Pretentious Abstract because it's just some nonsense, and it's just animated strokes over and over, and I had a camera spiral around just because I wanted to mess with camera pans, and I didn't even keyframe the camera. I think I'd used the action recorder and just moved with analog sticks and had it move around and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, and so I just did that, and it loops forever. It doesn't even end. But I was just that was I did that first, and then so yeah, right into the 3D. I think I grabbed a puppet and stretched it around, made it look weird. So the animation, the camera, because I wanted to do um, short films and dreams. Um, so that was kind of me just messing with that immediately. And then since I've been drawing for a while, I wanted to see if I could mimic my art style using the pencil tool. Did that. So it's kind of just escalated from there. And then obviously game making, and yeah, just spiraled from there. So.
Mm. So I guess what I'm not trying to shower you with praise, but when I say I've been waiting for forever for this, I really have. I'm super excited. So like, what I admire about your art is everything like seems so 100% genuine and sincere. Like it feels wide open, almost like showcasing the mind, the emotions of Wargarble. Would you agree, or am I looking too deep and you're like, all right, calm down, fanboy? Like, which, you know,
I mean, I think there's some accuracy to that, I guess. So because the way I approach creation, and I started this a while ago, is like I have that issue that I think most people have where I can't create what's in my head. If I have the image in my head, I can't make it look like that. So my way around that was to not rely on that. Was to would I get ideas in forms of words and descriptors. So and I just trust in the process itself. And I let the image tell me what it should be. And so it's very, I call it stream of consciousness. It's very stream of consciousness, very in the moment, because to me that's the most natural way for me to create. And I kind of discovered that way through a combination of things. Because I think it's terrible if you force anything. I don't think you should force anything. You can't, if you want to get better at something, that's great, but you don't force it. You just, I don't know, find a natural way to progress.
yeah.
So I read some interview with Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails about how he thought too much about some of his early stuff, and he realized he was just thinking too much about what he was doing, so he was struggling to make anything. He was struggling to like what he's doing. He just thought about it too much. Yeah, it's a problem a lot of people have. It's you get caught in that loop and that habit. And then the other thing I discovered, and might sound pretentious or whatever, I don't know, but I kind of life view changed at one point. And I was in college, and I had discovered the philosopher Alan Watts. So, and I realized what he was talking about, what he was pushing, really resonated with me. And well, I didn't like it at first because it made me uncomfortable. And then, but I kept listening to it, and then it made sense, and it just started clicking with me, and it, to me, became common sense for me. And it's all about unified thing and just being in the moment. And the only time that's real is right now. The past isn't real, the future isn't real. It's right now is the only time it's real. So So just being in the moment, like a cloud that forms, the cloud, you don't look at a cloud and go, that cloud looks wrong. The cloud's just a cloud. It's just the cloud forms how it's going to go.
You don't do that, but I'm yeah.
It's nice. The cloud
God, I don't
criticizer
like what
cloud.
you did with that one. If you did, should have erased that anyway. But yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, it's yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
so yeah, it's that process that when that occurred to me of like when that like clicked with me, and that's how I was approaching things naturally, and like it just made sense to approach art that same way and to approach creation that same way. Just don't think about it too much. Just let it happen. Let it be like a forming cloud. Or again, that sounds sounds cheesy and sounds pretentious, but that's yeah. So
As a
that's why
person
my
who
art
studied philosophy, no, it does not.
is. But yeah, that's what I think. I think maybe that's where you're finding that potentially with my art is that that's why I think Dreams is perfect for that style of creation. I think because it's so quick when you get used to the tools and you get used to that sort of just in the moment, just go and just make it. Like Dreams really is built for that, in my opinion, and you could just play. I mean, that's what I think they were doing in their streams before Dreams came out, and the stuff they were showing you, like, hey, here's the city, here's this, we're building this, and it's like, yeah, just it's like perfect for that. I think.
Just let it happen. Just
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And I'm currently in this for everyone who's still keeping track. I stepped away from Dreams about now 2 weeks ago because everything started to get too serious for me in my own creations. Like everything was being approached like a job. And because everything was being approached like a job, I found myself like overly stressing about things. I have like the two was it the two short films I'm currently just working on in the background, and like a ship that I had built for some reason stopped working. It's basically like a orb with like a thing around it that's spinning, and it has lights that go into the center. And for some reason, when I started moving it, now the ring doesn't go with the rest of the sculpture. And that I fought that thing for like 2.5 weeks trying to figure out what was wrong.
Mm.
And and what you're saying resonates with me now because it could have just been like, dude, you literally could have just rebuilt that thing in like seconds, but you got hung up on that. You got hung up on making that particular thing work. It's like I should have thrown it in the trash and redone it, which I probably would have done. Like I probably would have did it better. So it's like, yeah, just like, okay, you're not gonna work. Okay, well, let me rebuild this real quick. It's not like it's brain surgery, but so I've been in this break for 2 weeks now from Dreams, just trying to reset myself. And honestly, these words are really, really ringing true for me. So it's just like, yeah, I need to just create. Like everything doesn't have to be your opus. It's just I've waited so long for something like this to come along that it's just like, I'm putting unnecessary pressure on myself to basically prove myself instead of
Yeah.
just have fun and just,
Yeah.
do what got me here, what gave me my love of stuff. So I mean, it doesn't sound pretentious or anything to me. It really is a culmination of wise words.
Yeah,
So
I think that I mean all that stuff you're talking about, it'll happen naturally. Like when you're
yeah,
just having fun with it, it'll that you'll develop those skills on its own. It it'll just happen. You don't have to think about it.
yeah.
So like it's yeah,
Would
truly.
your number of hours like spent in Dreams like stagger me?
Um, I do that PlayStation thing, but I can't remember the numbers where they're high. Um,
If you can't remember the numbers, it was high. That's a, like because my like the process I work under is which is not this stream of consciousness that you were bringing up is just
yeah,
like I kind of came from screenwriting. And so the way I write scripts is I literally will think about an idea for a year and I'll write the story in my head so that when I sit down, I have nothing left to do but just basically copy it.
Gotcha.
And and so when I work in dreams, like I'm sure people like if they saw my hours, no, I'm not going to tell you, but if that's all you, if they saw my hours, I'd be judged because they'd be like, really, that's it? It's like, that's the way I work is it's like when I get into dreams, I do exactly what I come to do and that's it. Oh,
Interesting.
Cynic, 3,151 hours for Wargarble. Thanks. Thanks, Sen.
Oh, that's what I. Oh, thanks. I can't see chat, by the way, for chat. I can't
Yeah.
see just for the
I,
sake of
I,
my internet.
yeah, I already told him. I already told him
Oh,
that
oh,
you
okay,
wouldn't be able to see it. But
okay.
basically, divide that by 10 and then add maybe like 50 hours.
Three
That's like,
thousand is that's for this year, I assume, right?
yeah, I'm guessing if it, from the PlayStation thing, I'm not,
Because I
I don't
think I
know.
was fourth. I was over 4,000 for last year.
Yeah. And see, because of the way I work, I have to just realize to myself that it's just like, I, I don't have the hours yet to be as frustrated as I am with how with
Right.
with it's like first year I'm pretty sure I had some good numbers. That last year because a whole bunch went into last year. But let's get back to this. I just wanted to know if like if you said your hours, would it like hit me like a Hadoken to the chest? That it get be like, ugh. And so where do you draw inspiration from your designs? Like it's especially the stills.
um, I, that's kind of like to me, like inspiration would comes from like everywhere. I think it's like a lot of times it's my big inspirations are like I love David Lynch's films, and I love because I feel like he tackles stuff kind of a similar way. Just kind of lets it. He stays true to his ideas. He doesn't worry if it makes sense to the viewer, that sort of thing. As long as he loves it, he sticks with it. I admire that a lot. Um, music is a big inspiration. Like atmosphere, um, like older games I used to play, like Resident Evil 2, the classic of that one. Like when I really like stuff, I try to ask myself, what is it about that thing that I like what makes me like this? And so I've realized like presentation is a big deal. Like you could have some of the worst dialogue in the world, but if you present it in a certain way, it could still be great, depending on what it is. So it's like I don't know, like presentation's a big thing, music's a big thing. Whether you have music or not, it's a really good choice. It's important for your game or your movie or whatever. It's like that stuff. Obviously, all the films I grew up watching, I'm inspired by so many different movies. Like obviously, I love John Carpenter's The Thing. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is my favorite like zombie film that's been made. Is that one?
Hmm.
Um, which I did see. They had a colorized version they released in theaters, which I'd never seen. So I saw
Yeah.
that and it was terrible. It was awful. I didn't like the
Yeah.
color version. It's like no, he made a good choice keeping that in black and white, like he did. But but yeah, it ranges from Children of Men is a really big inspiration. I love the atmosphere of
Ooh.
that.
Yeah.
Um, it's real heavy and a lot of I like Paul Thomas Anderson films. I like There Will Be Blood and The Master. I like those movies too. So
Nice.
it's like it's a combination of those. A lot of movies, a lot of music. I like I listen to some soundtracks and stuff. But it's also like if I go on a drive, and it's the combination of music and visuals, and really just hit you. I know you know what I'm talking about with that.
Oh
Where it's
yeah.
like when it really hits right. It's like it can give you chills sometimes. So it's like going on a drive. If I go on a walk or whatever, I'm gonna clear my throat just 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah. 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 Take hey.
Okay, sorry about that. Um, so yeah, it's just that combination of stuff, and like if a certain song hits right, and I'm driving some back roads, and I got back roads where I am, where it's just woods and stuff. Some depending on how the lighting is and all that, and how I'm viewing it. Sometimes I treat my eyes like a camera. Sometimes, so it's that'll do it. And in my own dreams, my dreams can be real weird when I go to sleep. They've slowed down a bit as I've gotten older, but they can be very vivid and I could talk for hours about dreams. That gets nuts. But
Oh,
some of
we're
that,
gonna talk. We're gonna talk about those later. But yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it's some of the stuff. Well, I will say briefly that like some stuff I would have that would be considered nightmares. I think my body stopped waking up to them as if you know how you would jolt awake from a nightmare, but I kind of stopped doing that where it just plays out when I have the dream. So um, that'll happen. And so instead of being terrified of those things, I try to use it as inspiration, as a positive thing, and use those dreams and the imagery for some of my still art or games or what have you. So,
Huh? Because I mean, I think when you said the thing, that it made so much sense for for a
body
few
horror, man.
pieces. Yeah, for a few pieces in there, I was like, yeah, that tracks. So like, I, hmm. I would say you're one of the most prolific like VR dreamers currently in the verse. And
Thank you.
what is it about VR that like attracts you?
It's just there's nothing else like it. Like it drives me crazy. I feel like there's some people who still. I think I've said this before, but I think there's some people who still. I found comments from people who still think it's like a flat screen, like it's a flat 360 video, and it's like no, there's depth, there's scale. It's like that's what VR is. It's like you have to have the headset on, and you can't like. My first VR I ever did was phone VR. It was like Samsung Galaxy, or I don't remember what it was, and which is a low tier. But I had one app like it. I saw the potential in it, and I was like, oh, I know PSVR is stronger than that. I and I was like, okay, and I didn't get it right away when it first came out. I didn't know if Sony was going to support it. But then eventually, I got it fairly cheap because I sold some stuff. I got I think a Skyrim bundle, I think. But I got that, and it was just idea that you're there. And with Dreams already being crazy enough as it is, and the fact that they let you create your own VR stuff on top of that, like that's such a next gen idea to me. And the fact that's even done on a PS4 is insane to me. So like that's just too powerful. Like that's awesome that they just give VR creation in the hands of everyday people. So it being able to you have that world in your head, you create it, you see it there. It's not only on paper, it's not only on the screen. Now you are in that world you've made. Like that's ridiculously powerful, and the stuff you could do with that, because people are I think still learning more about VR. Companies are still learning about it. They're still trying to. That's obviously it's still fairly new, and so yeah, VR is just incredible, and I really hope I hope it I hope PSVR 2 and really kind of bumps it up in popularity. I hope people start seeing like, okay, this is worth getting and checking out. Um, yeah.
Do you sculpt in 3D as well, like when designing your stills and characters, or do you mostly use DS4, DS5?
So I mostly use the DualSense and the DS4 when I had that. So I usually just use the controller. Um, but there's only two still images I ever did. I think my memory can be terrible. I think there's only two still images I ever did that it was when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try the move controllers, and then which was Worm Man, I think, which is he's like made of a tree and he's got the worms coming out of him. And there's another one called Rock Face and he's got with leaves. There's like rock and leaves or something like that. I
Yeah.
sculpted those in VR with the moves, and because I can't use the moves outside of VR, I just can't. My brain can't grasp that. So, but
Hmm.
in VR, I got the space, so I can actually like treat it like, oh, I'm holding the thing that's in front of me. I can
Yeah.
like chisel away at it. So those two, and I really like those two. I just never went back to do it again, not for any particular reason. I just haven't. So, oh, there's actually um, when I made Whiplash, the VR version of Whiplash, those it was in VR putting that together just so I could see it scale. And then I think one of the enemies when you're in level one of Whiplash, when you're in the house, I call them skinless witches because that's what they look like to me. But
Hmm.
I sculpted them with with the moves, and I think I'm really proud of how those turned out. But because I think they're one of the creepier things. But I did the moves for that to get more control
Yeah.
over like yeah. So,
Huh. Well, it was funny because when you were talking about Whiplash, it was actually on the screen in the reel, so
oh, nice,
it
nice.
worked. Um, so we've already gone over what type of music you pretty much listen to, but did you want to expand on that? Like, are you eclectic in the music that you get your inspiration from, that you vibe with, or
I,
like,
I listen, I listen to I listen to all kinds of stuff, but like soundtrack wise, like I really like like certain orchestral pieces too. Something that sounds a little cinematic, But I really like. I really love ambient stuff a lot. I really like. Um, I don't know how to describe it. There's the there's this record I found that I was recommended by a dreamer, and I can't remember the dreamer's name. I feel bad. I know if I see them, I would recognize them, and I can't remember their name. If I remember their name, but they know who they are if they're watching, and if I say it, they still know. They recommended on Twitter that I check out this album. Great, now I can't remember the name of the album. There goes my brain. There goes my memory. So I'm gonna forget everything. It's by so the artist is called The Caretaker. I think it's called Everything at the End of the World. I think is the name of the record, but it's basically this sort of ambient, but sort of like experimental record that's designed. And this is not a happy record at all, but it is designed to show the stages of dementia through sound, and it's
Hmm.
so incredibly heartbreaking but interesting and well done. And what the caretaker with the guy what he's doing is he's using old ballroom music. It was inspired by the he was
Oh,
using
you
different
cut
old
out for
ballroom
a
music, and
second.
he's
You said
manipulating
ballroom
the
music.
sound. So it starts off. He's using old ballroom music pieces that I guess are, yeah, and he's manipulating them and to represent each stage. And the record is 6 hours long, and I listened to half of it in one day and the other half the next day. And it is meant to be listened to in a big chunk like that,
No.
because then but you like it gets to the point where it's so abstract in its sound that you're again, it's really heartbreaking because with dementia is obviously not a fun topic or a fun thing that people go through. And it's you start hearing the ballroom music at first, and it's real beautiful, and then you hear the crackling because it's like on a record. And then as it progresses, parts of it are jumbled up. He's like edited, the beginnings at the end or in the middle. It's like clearly not, something's off, and it gets more off as it goes. And then parts are missing, some parts start repeating, and it gets kind of horrifying. It's real scary, but it's also like, I don't know. I just find it as somebody who likes making art and that sort of thing. I just appreciate the artistry in that. Um, and then it gets to the point where it's just noise, and then it's like noises crackling and static, and it's yeah. And I will say that there is this moment at the end of the record, and me saying this isn't even a spoiler. If people even bother to listen to this and even make it that far, is there is a point which I guess with dementia where I guess whoever is suffering with dementia, they have a moment of clarity at the end before they inevitably pass. Um, so there's like this moment of clarity where they remember stuff, and that's represented at the end of that album. And it actually like made me almost tear up, like the way it was put together. So stuff like that. I really appreciate that type of stuff. I mean, I can't sit there and just listen to that like while I'm driving, but like because that's just too that's definitely not all the time sort of music. But
Yeah,
uh,
definitely not.
but I love ambient stuff. I love experimental stuff. I listen to a lot of electronic. I listen to a lot of that stuff. So that creates a soundscape for me in my brain and lets ideas flow. That's that's that.
Indeed.
So
That
yeah.
that song sounds like it'll give Azure Ray November a run for its money. That's Jesus. That's heavy. That is real
it's
heavy.
it's it's a yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So I called you the busiest man in dreams back during that intro so long ago. And, because every time I turn around, it seems like you're dropping like six things. And so, like, what future projects are you working on, like, currently?
Oh boy. So so currently I'm working on two projects. I'm working. Okay. So I'm working on a redo of Whiplash, which is nuts. So I'm
Hmm.
rebuilding it for non VR, and it's rebuilt from the ground up. The art's kind of different. I'm painting textures on sculpts, kind of like old school shooters, that those like original House of the Dead and stuff, but all the painted flat textures. I kind of like that. So I'm kind of doing that here. I'm focusing a lot on destructible environments more that I didn't do in the VR version, which I wanted to do. Um, so I'm rebuilding it, and I'm expanding the 3 levels that I've released that's available for VR. So I'm expanding each level. like really going outside of what's there to like I don't know how long they're going to be, but they're yeah. So that's been pretty fun, and I'm making decent progress on that for sure. Um, so that shouldn't take nearly as long because I'm able to work on that faster than it was taking me to make Whiplash in VR, just because I've learned how to do it a little better. I've learned so how to
Yeah.
structure it better. So and then my other project I'm working on is called Baba, which is this really surreal, weird third-person platformer exploration game where like if you miss a platform, you don't die. I'll just go ahead and say it's all about exploration. There's going to be multiple endings to it, and this is pure stream of consciousness too. The Baba is, and it's like some scenes are going to be a little darker and weird, but a lot of it's not as horror. It's not violent or anything. There's no enemies, but there's nothing to collect either. There's no coins. There's nothing like that. No bosses. It's just you just go. And so if that sounds fun to people, then great. But that one's VR compatible, and I've made sure I get the scale really nice so like it works really well in both VR and non-VR. Um, so like it, I had that little setting where it recognizes if the player's in has the headset on. It changes some settings to make sure things look proper, so that way it looks fine. And then if you're out of it, it should still be fine. Um, and so I can't wait for that. I think people are gonna like that. I'm really having fun with that. It's gonna be good. So those are my two current projects. So
My wife saw Baba this morning, and she saw the character running around. She goes, "Oh no, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Baba." That's
it's
and
Baba.
she was like, "Oh," and that was that was it. But I thought that was hilarious. So
That's what is that? Yeah, that's
what is
what
that?
is that? Is that is a genuine reaction to because I don't know what Baba is either. I don't know. It's just a little orange guy. I don't know. It just and I don't know. I made a silly noise. I made him go pa when he jumps, and then
Yeah,
he could have a double jump. So I was like, well, his name's Baba. So that was the logic on that. So,
that
but
works.
yeah, yeah, no, it's I'm excited for that. I think this will be great. So those are my two current projects. After that, um, I want to go back to an old one I started a while ago that um I lost stuff on, which is called Dreamwalker, which is it's inspired by real dreams I've had, but it's that one also was made purely for VR and just to put people in these really strange environments that also gets really into horror and very unsettling stuff. So I can't wait to go back into that because I feel like I've gotten much better since then. So that's gonna be good. I'm excited for that. And then I have kind of like an old school shooter that's inspired by like the old build engine games, like Duke Nukem, but without all the sexist stuff. And then the Quake, inspired by Half Life. It's kind of inspired by that, but it's also based off a sort of this story that I've told for my degree project that I'm going to tell through that game, and then basically kind of going along the lines of that we're all nature, the unified thing, but it's showing that stuff coming out of people, that sort of deal, and nature coming out of people physically, roots, branches, that sort of thing, and that one's gonna be a while. It does also deal with government abuse of citizens, so that one's definitely not prime. I don't want to do that right now, but I I will release that later when I work on that. So I'm fine with that being later right now for sure. Um, and then I have another would be a VR only title that also deals with a similar subject, but not it's not like a 90s shooter. It's more slow and way more like I don't want the player to just be guns blazing like that. I just it's but that one I don't know, that one could get I don't know if I'd call that one a fun game though. It's really dark and it's really serious subject matters and it's something that could get reported potentially. It depends on how I do it. So I
Right.
just so I don't know that one. I'm again that one's gonna be way far off in the future if I go there. But yeah, I got a whole list, man. I got a whole list of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
Yeah.
see the light of day. And I got other levels like stuff I'm gonna do for Whiplash. I
Mhm.
want to do a level in a zoo. I want to do a level theme park. I've got stuff like that I want to do. It's gonna be kind of cool. Yeah.
So
I,
you're saying so many things that make me want to jump. Because guys, like I told y'all on the tweet, he said film, and
I did.
I can't help but smile. So we're going to go completely in that direction now that Jammy's not here to stop me. So towards the end of this episode, it's going to be a whole bunch of movie talk. So, but before we get to that, because you're just saying
Yeah.
things that make me want to jump right to it, and I just like, nope, nope, I don't want to jump to it yet. So, uh, I guess the next thing, my next question ties in a lot to the main topic I wanted to discuss today. Uh, but what's your end game for dreams? Is dreams something you do for fun and to de-stress, or are you building towards something?
I just make stuff. So I'm just literally just making stuff because I enjoy the process.
Mm. Mm.
It is therapeutic to me to make things. I've always enjoyed that. I've always wanted to make my own games. So it's all a very personal enjoyment sort of thing. If anything else happens beyond it, it's just out of my control. Like it's like that'd be great. I ain't gonna turn it down. Like I would love to do this sort of thing for a living for sure. But it's not very easy to do. It's obviously highly competitive and it's like I don't know, like it'd be great, but I don't know. I think going into the industry and all that stuff, it's tough. And, it's
Yeah.
like it always I always think of there's like a quote that I think Tarantino said where it's like, all right, you might be able to run faster than some people in this little group, but like you're not running faster than people in this group over here because they've been running longer than you. They've been doing that longer than you, and it's like you're going to be that small fish again, sort of thing, right? So there's always going to be people who are out. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, and it's so therefore it's always going to be competitive. So it's and I'm not obviously saying that to be like, well, I'm better than everybody. Like, I didn't mean it that way. I hope it didn't come across like, well, I'm better
No.
than the people in Dream. And it's not what I don't mean it that way. But it's like, if your stuff stands out in this community, that's great. But it's like, it might not stand out over here where you could get a job potentially. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
how I view it. So that's what yeah. So like, if it happens, I I would love to do that. So,
Well, Captain Dax in chat said that quote, I just make stuff, it's all personal enjoyment, and quoted or and said that's healthy. And that's where I'm trying to get back to
yeah.
personally. We also had a message from, let me see, uh Insoliju says, "Hi everyone. I just wanted to leave a quick message that I love Wargarble's unique style. His 2D and 3D works are really outstanding." There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you.
And let me see here. I'm just trying to go back through everything that I've missed so far. Um, and JC Hedges said that he feels like it's really undermarketed that Dreams lets you make VR games.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Y'all heard me screaming about that a few weeks ago. How I'm literally trying to terrorize IGN. Uh, just a one man army out here, just to try, just going at them directly. I'm in their tweets. I'm in their Twitch. I'm everywhere trying to just trying to get them. But let me see here, Captain Dax. Although I will add, I hear Ethan almost taking himself out of it, or talking himself out of it. Excuse me. If it happens, that's great. To quote, if you want it to happen, it ain't gonna fall in your lap. You got to make it happen. Reach out to industry people about opportunities. You're not gonna just get discovered. I heard you talk about this on the Martin Nebelong tweet, Captain Dax. Um, which is why I brought up this question, which is us leading into our actual main topic of discussion, which probably won't be our main topic of discussion because once again he said movies. So, um, Yeah, yes. I'm going to get there, but
Yeah.
Martin Nebelong came out on Twitter a few days ago and said that he imagines that Dreams creators will be in high demand soon, as he's been contacted by some of the large video game companies and tech companies wanting to know about the Dreams engine as for idea development, regards to concept art, 3D, game dev, music. What did you have any thoughts on this, or is it just like that's cool? I'll be creating over here.
It's kind of like a mixed thing where it's like I'll be creating over here, but also it's cool that people are noticing dreams. All so, like I'm glad they're noticing dreams and they're noticing what it is and that it is powerful and that people are very skilled and you can do very professional work in it. And I think it does need to keep being noticed like that. And I'm glad it was, especially with the yeah. So I could see that being a thing for sure. I mean, again, people are already doing professional stuff with it now anyway.
Yeah,
And I could see that progressing for sure, and that's not definitely not a bad thing. Um, it's yeah, no, yeah, no, it's definitely a good thing. So there's that, and then obviously I think there's the music one too. So it's like anything related to professional stuff, it'll I think it'll get there, and it's people discovering themselves what they can do and how that can translate, and I don't know. I think the future is going to be interesting. How just to see where Dreams ends up and what other places it ends up and that sort of
yeah.
stuff.
Like
So
I know I'm the Dreams evangelist as always. But like as I stated back, I think it was now is either episode 1 or before we started. I think we did an episode 0. I don't know if we even ever put that up, but I was saying like I think the future of Dreams is going to follow a very similar trajectory to like Unreal Engine.
mm,
And I know people will be like pshaw, like like you're overshooting it, like nowhere close. But I believe there's an avenue for all things. Like there's more than one engine
yeah,
in game development, and due to like the all-in-one nature of Dreams and the pace that you can set with creation, I feel like you know, people always talk about Dreams as in comparison to something else. Like as
mm,
it's like, how does it stack up against what you can do on PC and Blender and all this stuff? But I think that ignores the idea that Dreams itself could become its own like thing within the industry, completely abstract of those programs. Because if
mm,
like taking what Martin said and like really looking at it, no one's sitting there saying like, hey, or no one seems to be asking about, hey, can I get my final project out with Dreams? Like that's not what these big companies are doing. They're like, "Hey, we want to do some previs for film. We want to
yeah,
see like how this design might work. We want to get these sketches." I
yeah,
mean, at that point, it's no different than, well, it's different, but no different than someone or some company trying to get you to do environmental design concepts for what they're actually going to create. And
yeah.
that is really cool.
And it's like look how fast you can do it too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
there's
mean,
such a yeah,
yeah, that being said, I mean, we're not all Wargarble or Martin Nebelong, but I mean, we're all out here learning and trying is all I'm saying. All I'm saying. So
it's just sad.
we've just had so many like conversations about whether Dreams is a professional tool or not, or like
Yeah,
the last few episodes of the show that I like. This of course doesn't like end the debate. It's it's not like, yeah, that it's professional, but it's if people are interested enough to look at it
yeah.
as a, even if it's just a piece of the design process, like it
I think
in
it'll
my
get there.
opinion it's on par with other programs. whether it
yeah.
has exportation or not. I mean, really, the only thing that can't be exported is games. But
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I feel like there is something there, and and like you said, the future is going to be interesting because I don't think I don't think we definitely haven't reached the end of what Media Molecule plans on doing with it. But
No.
then you have the idea of like what happens when if I think it's a matter of when, but if it comes to PC, like how like what if by that time it is a Blender program where people can actually create updates for it themselves and add different tools in that weren't originally there? Like it can grow into something that's nuts, just like some people need to get on Elden Ring and somebody needs to mod it so that you can fly or at least glide, because that would be amazing. Okay, I'm just slipping that in there, just for anyone who might be listening, who's a modder, and, wants to play around with FromSoft stuff. Anyway, the point is, I don't know. I saw this person on a peak, and they were looking over like this vast world, and I was just like, "Yo, if you had wings or like just a glider where you jump off and you can glide through with a particular armor," I was like, "This might be like the greatest thing ever." Like
People are already comparing it to Breath of the Wild, so might as
well,
well.
see, the thing is, but the real truth of the matter is that Breath of the Wild is not that great.
You're
That's
right now. So people acted like it was like, oh, it's an open world game. Like, yeah, another one. That's
now,
doing this.
as always, and yes, I'm not going to go on my normal Nintendo rant, but per usual, Nintendo fans, not all of them, just you know who I'm talking about. It's like they finally get something that is up to date kind of in the way gaming works, and they're like, oh, it sets the bar. And it's like, yeah, you're right, no one's ever done adventure games before, no one's ever climbed anything before in a game. And anyway, I'm just saying stuff that look, I'm saying stuff that's making people like want to leave, so let me get past that to the next topic.
Oh no.
No, it's just I love it
Oh
because
no.
I can't help it. I love Nintendo. I really
I
do.
feel the same way, but I just can't. I don't want to.
Hey, there's a reason my name is what it is. I have to
This.
say what's on my mind. It's cathartic
I,
for me.
I guess I should be able to say it. I can't see chat, so it's not like I get to see anybody
Yeah.
fight back.
You can't punch me if I'm not here.
Such a silly way to go. All right.
So,
yeah, you're right. Right.
It's Solid Juice said, "I've got a question for Wargarble. Is Dreams a premium cathartic way to handle your anxiety, tough moments in life?"
Yes. Is to an extent for sure. Um, it's well, I guess it depends. Like if I'm going like if I'm having like an actual like depressive phase, for example, like mentally things going bad, I can't create anything when I'm actually going through current like depression. Instead, like I'll create after the fact and use it as inspiration, and try to turn it into a positive thing that's more constructive. Um, so like I'll usually have like other games I'll go to, like if I'm having like an actual anxiety attack or a depressive episode or whatever, like I'll play like I play Stardew Valley because that game is just relaxing to me. That's something that's just I play certain other things. I don't play something, um, but like the creating part of it, I think helps. It helps keep me intact. I'd say just being able to create and do that and keep me going, for sure. And it does help keep those episodes away. I think. Obviously, I mean, I take. And I'm very fortunate enough. I found medication that works for me. I know that could be a hard thing to deal with. That's a whole other topic in itself. But I found something that does work for me. So it's a combination of that creating. Just it yeah. So like
Yeah,
it keeps it at bay for sure.
it takes the edge off sometimes. That's
It's a yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Life
And
can
see,
be a lot. So
you ain't never lied. Life can be so much. Like I,
yeah.
as I was telling people, I've been stressed out of my mind lately, and I've been trying to like hide it in the podcast. Just just because there's been so much stuff going on for like the last 6 months that, like, the fact that I lost the ability to go to dreams and just have fun,
Right.
like, really was like the last nail. I'll be like, yo, I got to change something. Like, something's got to change because I, like, if I can't even enjoy myself doing this now, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm glad that it can be that. And we all just need to adopt the Book of Wargarble and just, you know, just take it easy. Let it create.
Just
Let the
yeah.
world create through you and just let it happen.
Yeah,
Y-
it's because I don't believe in that. I think it's tough. I mean, I shouldn't say. I mean, everybody's different. So, but it's for me. I can't create. I'm going through an episode if it's currently happening, because then
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, and I don't know if people can. But again, I don't know. Maybe some people can, but it's like I don't know. I think that helps dealing with it when you know it's coming. Where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna as a way of therapy. Just don't worry, and that's the other thing too when it comes to creation. Like don't worry about it, what you're making if it's gonna be bad. Like don't worry about it. I feel like a lot of people also worry a lot about what we were talking about earlier for sure. It's like worrying about like it has to be perfect, it's gotta look like this, and it's got like you'll get there. You have to take the steps. I mean, everybody you look up to starts off like it still makes stuff that doesn't look good. They just don't show you. So like they make stuff that doesn't look good. Artists you like, musicians, you know they make songs they don't like, so it's not on the album that comes out. Like
Yeah. Sometimes the
it's
song that gets them popular is the one that they hated the most.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's part of the process is making terrible things.
Yeah.
That's real. It's part of the process. Like you're not a failure because what you made didn't look good or played wrong. That doesn't make you a failure. It means that you're just at that step, and now you're at a process now where you can look at it and go, "Here's how I can make that better."
Yeah.
Okay, this part sucks, so let me fix this. So yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and just forego the other topic because I just I feel like that is
movies, movies, movies.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like Jamie would really want that other topic about music. So I'm going into this new segment for what might be the last 30 minutes, depending on how long we talk. Um, when speaking to Keld on the Keep Dreaming podcast, you mentioned how you grew up on horror movies, and we've talked about it now here. Like, you mentioned your favorites. What's the one that actually gets under your skin? What's the horror movie that really just shook you the most?
Something that actually bothers me.
Mm.
Oh. As a kid, I had goofy ones, but as an adult, um,
And I will wrap this back around to dreams, guys, for those that are wondering.
there's that's mm. So I think it depends. Like it's very particular things. Like I find more real life stuff is just more bothersome to me. Like um like obviously I can't watch if a movie has a rape scene in it. Like that just I think that's pretty standard. I would hope that people be bothered by that. But like that's obviously stuff that's like, well, okay, like that's not very fun to watch, obviously. And so it's like stuff like that's pretty rough. But like when that's in horror films, like I don't know, like something that's I mean that stuff's like true horror. Like that sort of stuff's real scary because human beings are terrifying. So that's the real horror stuff that I don't like is how humans can be to each other regarding stuff like that and among other things. And so
Yeah.
that's what it is. But like seeing monsters, that stuff doesn't it doesn't I can feel unsettled for sure if maybe a certain a certain camera angle gets a certain way and it could some things definitely like going back to Night of the Living Dead. There is but again that's very human, but it's going to that there's this one shot where the woman I can't remember her name, I can't remember the character's names right now, but like the one she's on the floor of the farmhouse they're in, and one of them, and the lead actor, he went out because they're scared of fire, and he's got the table leg. He's trying to shoo him away from the house. One of them had got in, one of the zombies got in, and it's the way it's framed, and with the black and white, and he's got the white shirt on, and it's the way his body's angled. It's very specific things like that can get under my skin. So he's like the way his body's angled, and he's so slow moving. It's like an actual corpse walking at you. Which is why I like that film so much. It's not overly cartoony like you see other zombie films and that sort of thing where they're starling and they look super
Yeah.
gross. I mean, he's just it looks like a corpse, and he moves like one. And I thought it was just well done. So that bothers me. There's a certain audio in The Exorcist. Like I'm not a religious person at all, but there's a very specific like audio thing they do
Hmm.
with a laughter that happens where it's like it laughs and then it trails when it gets real low
Yeah.
and it goes a little too long. That puts the hairs go up. Like that gets me. So and there's yeah, so there's that scene. There's I think the image of the when the priest sees his mom sitting on the bed and it's just the light. That strike image, that brief image, for some
Yeah.
reason. So it's just real particular things, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
details. It's the details.
The details, yeah, yeah.
Ah, I agree with you. A lot of the monster stuff doesn't get me, but what I do like of not recent but semi recent is like the the movies that take something that is like everyone remembers from their childhood and turns it against you. Like I
Mm.
that's like those are things that can get me. Like The Grudge overall, the American remake for The Grudge was, you know, say what you will, but the fact that they took that little throat noise and made that like the thing, it was just
Yeah.
like that is unnerving for some reason. um, but
Interesting.
yeah,
I haven't seen that film in a while. So, yeah, that's but
I haven't seen it in probably a decade, and I
is it
still remember it though. Still remember
still
that sound. And it's like if
gotcha.
something attacks someone in a bed, it's like no, bed is the safe zone.
Right.
Monsters aren't allowed in the bed. Uh, but
That reminds me
yeah,
of a horror short I have that I'll probably make in dreams in the future when it comes to short films. Something involving a bed and a hole that develops in a house. That's yeah.
have you
There's a
seen?
this concept.
Go
This
ahead. Go
concept.
ahead.
Yeah. Okay. This concept I have is this character finds. I came up with this story a long time ago. I mean, maybe I'm sure something like this probably exists already, but I don't know. But this particular thing is this hole develops in his dining room and just in the floor, and he sees like the carpet sinking in and stuff, and he can't leave the house. Whatever's happening with this hole is just not letting him break the windows, can't open the doors, can't leave, and the hole gets bigger, and like the wallpaper, like things start getting hot. This wallpaper's peeling off, and he starts hallucinating and stuff. And it involves one of my biggest phobias. I have my phobia. I actually have something that actually scares me in real life. Something that actually does scare me. That's not a movie, but a real life thing is I have a phobia of the ocean. And it started with me having a phobia of moray eels. I don't like the facial structures of moray eels. I can't look at pictures of them and stuff. I'm serious. There's something with like the facial structure of them, and they have like that tiny little mouth that's like they have a second mouth like a xenomorph. It just comes up, and it's like I'm not looking at the screen right now, so you can share moray
oh,
eels all you want, but
oh
I'm not.
no, I'm not sharing it. But it's just I wanted to take a look just to make sure that I'm thinking of the right eel, and I am. So
Is the
yes,
green one? The green
yes,
one? Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So I don't know why, but my brain hates them. So it bothers me. So I
Hmm.
think it started when I was a kid. I was at the freaking aquarium. I saw one curled up in the corner of a tank, sitting. The light wasn't on, so I could only see it in the dark. So I don't know. There's something about it freaked me out.
See,
So
I'm a personal believer that everyone should have a phobia of the ocean because we don't know what's down there. That's what I
that's
mean.
right. Yeah.
I hate to be that guy, call me a punk. I'll be that dude, but for real, like we don't know what's down there. And I've
Oh,
always had I don't necessarily fear anything, but there are situations I would not like to be in personally. Like that I just really wouldn't like to be in that situation, so I don't put myself in the way of that situation ever happening. Like when I was younger and I used to think of like giant squids used to be like the biggest thing to me. I was like, yo, these things are huge. And then you have the pictures of like it's like grabbing the whole ship and pulling
The
it down
ship.
on the ship, like just like, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, and I had this thing in my head that I would always think about. It's like, what if you were swimming and something opened its eyes and you were the size of its eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just die now. That's what I mean. What am I? I don't know. But yeah, I don't mess with I don't mess with the ocean. Real talk. It's a beautiful place. I'll watch Sir David Attenborough talk forever about the oceans. I love it. I fall asleep to it almost like 5 nights a week. But yeah, you ain't catching me. You ain't catching me. The first time I went into the ocean, a jellyfish got me. The second time I went into the ocean, I stepped on a stingray. And I had to literally backflip my big behind off of it into the water and just go for the shore. And I was like, I almost got
God.
Irwin's, man. I was
Oh,
like, that's
no.
it. I was like, that's it for the ocean for me. I tried. I gave it a shot. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. The ocean could no. It could stay where it is. I'll be here.
Okay. I believe Sinak, I believe that's Blue Planet episode 2, The Deep, volume 1. Where we know more about the surface of the moon than the bottom of the ocean. I believe that's where that's from. I'm telling you, I'll watch it. I tell you, Sir David Attenborough can talk about anything, and I'll watch it. But at Wargarble, being afraid of the ocean isn't an irrational fear. F the ocean. Yeah, exactly, Char. That's exactly. Whenever I see people, even like the what do they call it? Brackish water, where gators are.
Oh yeah.
When people are just out there, just having fun, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You can't even see if it's coming for you. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all. Then we're gonna get back to dreams because this all does wrap back around to dreams. I was watching this video, and these people were standing on like the bank, and they were trying to reach something in the water. And the person with the camera was watching them try to reach for it. And the camera just shifted up just a little bit. And just under the water was a friggin' crocodile. No. No, that wouldn't be me. Anyway, so I'm sorry, we got distracted by the ocean, but if you have a fear of the ocean, it is validated in my eyes.
Yeah.
People be pulling out things we don't even have names for. Yeah, they're not gonna get me. No siree, not gonna get this man. So you also spoke about with Keld about how you came into dreams for short films, and you you kind of got turned away from it because of the difficulty in executing certain things like different cuts and like the music transitioning across different dreams and stuff like that, and you're just like, yeah,
It was more like I'm still gonna do it, but they're just not gonna be in dreams. It's I'll just make the scenes in dreams using it, but I can't put it together as a whole in dreams because I don't like how it loads each scene. It's just not quick enough for those typical camera cuts
yeah,
that we're used to in films. So
yeah.
so I'll just plug them onto my YouTube channel. So that's where that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
it makes sense. That's because
yeah.
that's what I was gonna suggest, was like, if you didn't already do it, but of course you do, you work Garble. But I was like, the first thing I did in my, like, I had no intention of releasing the first film I started working on in dreams. I was like, yeah, to get the level of quality that I was like, I'm just making the scenes and then I'll pull it out and do whatever. Now, where I made the mistake is I didn't know there was a cloud, save as private cloud feature, and therefore I lost everything. So the point is, save, once again, everybody, save your stuff, save it, or you will just waste 8 months of your work. Anyway, so I guess, I mean, it's terrible, but I'm slowly getting over it. Okay.
Right. I know you've been. I know that's been just digging at you for so long. I understand
It,
though. I
yeah.
understand. I'm not judging you on it. I get the.
So
I get that energy that's just like God.
yeah,
Just,
all the work I put in, all
yeah.
of it reduced to 8 minutes of
Well, I
what
mean,
I could release.
some people would stop right there, and never do it again. So at least you didn't do that. So.
Oh, I didn't trust dreams for a minute. After that, I kind of stepped away, and like while I would still mess around here or there, I wouldn't do anything that had any type of finality to it. It was just kind of like oh, I'll play around with this today. You know, it's just something. It was just like whether it gets deleted, it doesn't matter. You know, I had to kind of fall back in love with it. Um, Let me
Right.
see
Yeah.
here. Let's see where everybody is in chat. Um, Char said, I'm not even afraid of a kaiju coming out of the ocean. I'm scared of some Doctor Strange reality warping monster coming out. Wow. Yeah, you just, I mean, hey, I can't judge you. Who knows? Who knows? You don't want to be a ground zero when, some Pacific Rim type thing comes out of the water. You don't want to be there when that happens.
Is there a thing
Um,
called the bloop? Isn't that a thing? It's like an old thing. I thought it's called the bloop, where it's like I was probably fake. I don't know. It was
hmm,
like the noise, the frequency of that noise they found in the ocean was it had to be so big, like it was way bigger than anything that we knew existed. I don't know.
yeah.
That's probably so. Yeah, like they yeah. Anyway,
See, now you're kind of edging me towards conspiracy, which is what I also delve into that, ladies and gentlemen. Not one of those people. I do the good old classic conspiracies, aliens, government cover up, stuff like that. Anyway, so Captain Dak said agreed. The scene transitions are a big blocker to make sweet looking dreams films. Yeah, I mean, if I make something, I'll make it with like if I do put it out on Dreams, it's going to be like this is the work in progress. See here for the real thing. Like it's for any of the people who did see the A Good Place to Die short that I ended up putting together out of magic. Yeah, it's basically how I did it. Was just like taking clips and just being able to sew it together outside of Dreams, you know. That's the way to do it if you do it. I've been thinking about entering this one film festival on um animated film festival on Twitter. I can't remember the link. I'll have to remember. I think Jamie told me about it. But yeah, yeah. I used to have this. Oh, it's me, Juvie. I used to have this repeating dream every night where people would come to my house and murder me. It was terrifying. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty rough.
that's
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty rough. So to wrap this back around to dreams before we get too sidetracked. Well, we're gonna start here. You brought up this thing, Dreamwalker,
yeah.
the Dreamwalker project. Okay, I have a project that I actually already started. Um, Little episodic things for called Dream Samsara, and it's pretty much the like it's about this dude who goes to sleep one night and we follow him through all of his dreams because most people most people have like if they get proper sleep have maybe like 10 or 15 dreams. They only remember one. And
Right.
so the idea is that you would get to walk through this character's psyche and see all the things that he basically his subconscious brings to the forefront. And so when you brought up the Dreamwalker idea, I was like, ooh, because it's also based off of my own dreams. So I want to
Nice.
know what is it what is the craziest dream you've ever had?
Oh God. Um.
Or just throw out one that you think is crazy. It doesn't have to be like, tiered list.
Right. Right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go through the ones. Uh. I've one. Okay, I'll tell you two of them. I'll try to make it so. I have one that the first one I'm gonna tell you is a little on the goofy side, but it was still beautiful, even though it was really strange. I had a dream I was Amish. I have nothing against. I don't know why. I have
Okay.
no idea why. I was I was Amish and I was standing with other Amish people. Like I'll get like other people in my dreams. I never recognize them. I don't know who they are. Happens all the time. But I'm standing with other Amish people. And we're in a field, and there's like some wood line or whatever, and there is this. It's like a horse and a moose mixture. I don't. That's the only way I can describe it. And it's got like silver gray fur. It's beautiful, but it was terrifying because everybody was scared of it. And so apparently I was going to hunt it. And I had some old rifle, whatever. I don't know anything about guns, but I had some old rifle, whatever. And so I was trekking through this. It was like a wheat field,
Hmm.
and to hunt whatever this was down. And I didn't shoot at it. Instead, I ran away from it, and it was like running with me, parallel to me. Then ran towards the group of other Amish people, and like they all scattered. And then I ran away because then it came after me. It's just that dreams logic. Then it came after me, and the camera cut. So it was through my perspective, but then the camera cut, and it was like this high bird's eye view, and I could see myself running through the field, and I could see it chasing me, and we were cutting through the wheat field, like you know how it makes a trail in the wheat. So it looked really cool, and so it was chasing me, and then I stopped moving for some reason, then bumped into me. It turned around, ran away. There was a little creek over here, and I started jumping to that creek randomly. Didn't make any sense, and slowly my body turned into the tab on a pop can, and it did that, and I woke up. So it made no damn sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It made no sense, and I was like, "That's weird." So I never forgot that dream ever in my life. I was like, all right, it's beautiful and silly as hell, but I have to make that in dreams at some point. I don't know. So that was the one, and then the one that's not as funny, but was actually deals with aliens in the stream. Was I had this dream. I was on this sort of like flat platform. It was like a boat, but it was just flat. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know if that exists in real life. I don't know. It was just like a square, and we were heading away from a dock, and we were going into the open ocean, and there was a huge ship sitting on the surface of the ocean, and we wound up inside of it. The dream cut. We were all laying down, and they started closing the door. And I remember this feeling specifically because it weirded me out. I found myself, they froze us to the point where we fell asleep. So I felt myself fall asleep, which is really weird when you're already asleep. So it felt really strange to me. So I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and I was the only one in that area. I was there. There were these kind of cases. I don't know. There was like big crates or something. They opened, and I guess the people that was in the room with me, they came out of those crates, and then I woke up. It was like a sort of weird, surreal nightmare sort of thing. I woke up. I went back to sleep. The dream continued. So I was now on the dock during. So that first part was at night. The second part of this dream, it was daytime, and I'm on the dock. I'm standing in a building. I'm looking out. I can see those flat boats I was standing on. Other people are getting on them. They're going out to that ship, and and I'm telling people that they need to do it, which I thought was strange. So I'm telling people like people who were hesitant, you need to go do that. You need to go over there. You need to get on the ship. And and then I can't. I just remember doing that, and then it cut again, and then I woke up again, and then the last portion of that dream, the third part was I was in my house. I was in my house, and it was raining. It was like really odd, peaceful, like into it, where it was raining, and I just heard the sound of the rain hitting the window. Everything was calm. And I heard the news was on. I couldn't see the TV, but I could hear the news talking about how the ship arrived and all this stuff, and that things were ending, that sort of thing. But it was real peaceful. And then I woke up, and that was it. That was that dream. So yeah. Also, I have one where my mom was tackled by a burrito, like a burrito the size of a person. It tackled my mom. That was a real one too. So anyway, my dreams are all over the
Tackled
place.
by a burrito.
It came out of a house. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know, man. I don't
these are
choose.
awesome. These are
I
awesome.
can't control my dreams. I don't know. I'm not. I can't lucid dream. I can't control them.
Ah.
So they just happen. Yes.
So
Anyway, I
before I share a few, We had
Yes.
one from It's Me Juvie. Said, I've never forgotten this one dream where it was night and I opened my window to see people just staring at me from the roof of the house across from mine. I think, yikes. I think that would be such a good shot in a horror movie. I've only ever had one lucid dream. I've had many. So
Nice.
the um so should I give you the full because I promised this like 60 episodes ago that I would talk about dreams one day. And and I haven't done it yet. So let me ask you, do you want crazy or do you want weird?
Oh man. I gotta go with weird. I love weird stuff. Stuff that people consider weird. I love that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I had a dream when I was 5 that Freddy Krueger was chasing me through underground tunnels. And in these tunnels, it ended up as like a scaffold, and the scaffold led to this big iron door that looked just like the Mako reactor in Final Fantasy
I don't.
7.
I've never played any Final Fantasy, so I'm lost there. Unfortunately.
Okay,
Sorry.
just think of
But
a big vault door with
okay.
so I'm freaking out because I've hit a dead end, and I'm like, oh my god. So all of a sudden, this glowing girl comes down out of nowhere and is like, it's your dream, though. And I was like, yeah. What does that mean? Thanks for that. He's going to kill me. Can you please? What are we doing here? And she's like, well, no, it's your dream. So change it. So because I'm 5 and I read comics, of course, I pull out, I'm like, I can take him. So I pull the Wolverine claws out of my hands and I'm just like going toe to toe with him. And for some reason, under the scaffold is lava because Mario or something. I don't know. And I go toe to toe with him. I'm knock him off. And this chick tells me her name. Okay. She tells me a bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to go into that right now. Tells me a bunch of other stuff. I'm 21 in college and I meet a girl who looks just like her in real life. That's where I'll end that story for now. I'll bring you more on that later, but I can't give away all the secrets.
I have some similar things that's occurred to me as well. Maybe me and you might have to have some talks.
I hope this means we talk a lot more personally because
yeah.
But
I'm fine with that. Yeah,
weird.
I'm enjoying those fans.
So weird. So I had a dream that I walked up to, and for those who have seen the Dream Samsara shorts on my YouTube, you'll recognize this. But I was on a little patch of land, and in the distance, I could see angels falling out of the sky. And basically, the battle between heaven and hell basically was happening. And that war destroyed all the land masses of Earth. And so people who survived literally had to build their cities and resurrect their living quarters and habitats in basically the carved out bodies of angels.
That's cool. I like that. That's cool.
Yep. And I came up with the idea of doing all of this somehow because one night when I went crazy, I don't know if it was like a manic episode, but I watched that movie, The Jacket, with Adrian Brody and Keira Knightley.
I'm aware of that film. I don't know if I've ever watched. I think I've seen part of it a long time ago. Yeah.
I love that movie. But one night I was in college, I was watching it, and I just went into this, like the idea for Dream Samsara came to me. And I was just like, yes, that's it. I'll just take all my dreams and put them together and make a story. And Yeah, and that's when I started creating it, which is why like the first part of it that's on the YouTube is like a 15-second story. Was the idea that it would be a bunch of dreams that range from like 15 seconds to
Hmm.
30 minutes and it just be a huge collection dealing with
That's
a
awesome.
bunch of stuff. So I guess from that from there I can stop there if it, oh well let me catch up with chat first to see because you know people might be like he's lost his mind, we're out of here. um have some happy music playing quietly while sleeping. Wait, Char, here we go. I just have dreams that make me feel uncomfortable and then I hate sleep, or I've hated sleeping ever since. Wow.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
mean, some dreams can be that vivid where it ruins your day.
yeah.
I've had with my antidepressants I take. I made the mistake of taking it before I went to sleep. It's usually I think recommended in the morning, where I think it would make more sense because it would be active during the day. But I took that before I went to sleep, and like it made me have even more vivid nightmares. Like it was probably some of the worst dreams I ever had. That I don't talk about that one though. This is just it ruined my whole week. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just it was like that one. I don't know. Like it was. So I understand. Sometimes dreams can mess with you.
Yeah. So
For sure.
the one that really kind of messed me up for a while
Hmm.
um was there was one dream is just basically I was in this I was floating in water and like cities and everything were like toppled over, like huge buildings, and all my friends were around me, and basically the world was being hit by just a bunch of giant asteroids or meteors,
Hmm.
and every time it would hit, the water level would rise, and every time the water level would rise I'd have to watch everyone sink.
Oh gosh.
And now that
Yeah.
really just, yeah, when I woke up from that one, I was just like seeing everyone, you know, that you care about.
It's
Like,
oh jeez.
yeah, I was gonna do that one in dreams and I started it. It's actually done. I just never pulled it out of dreams because that was during another time. But yeah, yeah, that's I think yeah, I would love to do like an anthology thing with people in dreams where it's just a bunch of shorts like that that you know, tell the dream, put it and just end it there and just make it one long series of
That would be
dreams.
amazing. That'd be amazing. I love that idea because that's yeah. Because I used to be so obsessed with dreaming that I would just purposely sleep in so I could have more dreams. So
Yeah.
like it used to get that way. It's because you just that's why I kind of wish you could record your own dreams and watch them. I wonder what that would feel like, but if it'd be a sense of like deja vu or something. I don't know, but
I
watching a
fe-
whole movie.
I don't know. I'd love it, but I also immediately thought of like what is it called? Black God, the one about technology, Black Mirror. I
Black
immediately
Mirror. Oh,
thought
okay.
Black Mirror when you said that. I was like, it does sound great. Wait. I feel like if you could record it, people would use it to like against you.
Right,
Like
probably.
immediately. It's be like, dude, I can't control my dreams. Oh yeah, you can't control your dreams. We got you now. It's like
Oh
but
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's where my mind immediately went. But so you did a oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it probably would be weaponized against people. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So,
You recently worked with I believe Cram Studios on the was it Cram? On the one what is it called? My Neighbor. Oh, what is it called? I'm going.
you're referring to the bathroom with the "Do you
Yes.
really know your neighbor"?
Yeah, yeah, do you really
That's
know
with
your neighbor?
that's with Gizmo.
Gizmo. Gizmo. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
with Gizmo. Yeah.
Which Gizmo was here earlier and that's yeah,
Okay.
haven't seen Gizmo for a while, but I was very happy to see that there was a collaboration going on. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Gizmo's back. It's yeah. Her stuff is incredible. Yeah, just the details of the
absolutely.
interior. Yeah, yeah.
So uh, did she ever use that Stargate for anything? Because I believe she did an active Stargate.
She has yeah. She has a puzzle game
Yeah.
that she made early on. That's all based on Stargate. Yep.
Ooh, ooh.
It's a
We're working on our next project together. Uh-oh. Secrets.
wait. What happened?
No,
What did you say?
Gizmo said I'm still here working on our next project together.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We're still collaborating for sure. We have plans. We have plans. We have plans for sure.
yeah, and it seems we have. Yeah, Karsten Stack said still have a big diary full of dreams and lucid dream experiments. I really explored these things for a few years in my life. Yeah, like the like the first probably 35 years of my life was very much spent in just like dreams. Like, what do they mean? What are they trying to tell me? Like, yeah.
It's such
um
a weird. I don't. It's addicting. I think dreams are just addicting because it's there's to me anyway. There is an addicting quality about them, even if they're scary. It's like I don't know, and that's why. Yeah, that's why I'm excited. Like I love the idea of your project, and I am excited about doing Dreamwalker because it's like trying to recreate some of those feelings and some of those tones and some of the way that stuff looked and putting people there so you go, hey, this is similar to what I dream years ago, and now you can experience it a bit in a different way, but it's still kind of there. Some stuff I will dial back, but like I don't know, like I got some doozies for sure. I wanted to I like the idea of keeping a dream log or dream journal. I think I
mhm.
started one a while ago and I just never kept up with it. But it's yeah, I mean because like the first one in that Dreamwalker, like the Land of Hand, it's like I don't know. I like using as inspiration to branch off from and creating those weird things. And I think I said this on Keld's I think, but like the level 2 of Dreamwalker, which was based on that weird dream I had that I was in Texas for whatever reason, and but it was like this really weird. I mean, as silly as that sounds, there was just this weird town I was in, and everybody looked distorted and kind of disfigured, and it was just real strange. And I still think that was one of the scariest things I'd ever made in dreams. What I was putting together there, and in VR, it was so surreal and
Hmm.
great. So I want to go back to that, and I think I can make it even better now. And really, and kind of kind of related to that fear of the ocean a bit, where it's like I had that part in that level where you're in this void and you're in this dark void you can't see, but there's stuff swimming around you, but you can't see it until it appears in the light directly in front of you. And it's like, oh Jesus! And you're there's so these weird creatures that are there with you, and it plays off that sort of fear. And yeah, I don't know. That's gonna take some weird turns for sure. And it's also inspired by that. There's that PlayStation One game that was in Japan only. LSD Dream Emulator is what it's called. About the guy who developed that game. I guess he took LSD or whatever, and or something like that, and he recorded what trips he had over a long period of time and developed the game about it, which was ridiculous. But he did that. You could play it. It goes by each day, and it's like really weird game as you imagine. It's like you just walk into a wall and that transports you to some other place, and
Yeah.
there's like a big fish. Like everything seems random, which I'd imagine based on how he made the game. But so it's kind of inspired by that because I love the exploration aspect of that and how surreal and that sort of weird stuff you don't see very often. And that's why one of my favorite, because again, I don't play very much, unfortunately, in Dreams. I don't get to see a lot of people's stuff as much as I should and as much as I'd like to. But one that I've played since beta, it's either beta or early access, is something I've talked about before. But there's a dream I really love called The Trip. But I think it's called The Web now. And that's had its fair share in the light for sure. But Cat 135, I think. And that kind of reminds me of that. It's just these really weird environments and in VR, it's incredible. And you're just in these places that, to me, that's when I think of dreams, I think of that. It's like that's what allows people to really do it. You don't, it's the stuff that we already know we've talked about before, where it's like you don't have publishers breathing down your neck. You can get as weird as you want. You can do
Yeah.
out there stuff, and I guess I'm kind of segueing into why I love Dream so much all of a sudden. But that's
That's
I
what
think
we're
why all
here
of us
for.
love it. It's yeah. So that's I mean I think that's the beauty of Dreams is just that complete freedom. I mean, obviously within its user rating, but you know what I mean. That complete creative freedom and it's just yeah. I don't see it stopping. So
Do you think that brings up? Do you think Dream should have a user rating?
it's a really interesting topic. I think if they really get, I think it should have sections, like they have genres, right? Like they should have like, hey, if you want your M-rated stuff, R-rated films, M-rated games, or whatever, you go here. Obviously, I know they can't have, most things can't be like adult rated. You know what I mean? Because they won't sell. Stores won't sell. Most things are only go to the M-rated sort of deal. But like, I think as long as they stick with that, I guess, the whole censorship thing. It's like, I don't know if they just blocked it off into like M-rated stuff here, teen stuff here, whatever. You know what I mean? If you're for family stuff, they have their own section. So it's like, okay, parents, if you want to have this for your kids, which I think they could still do now, but like you want to be for sure, go to there. No matter what your child gets into, it's not going to be pornographic. It's not going to be violent. It's not going to be that sort of thing. I don't know. That's how I feel about. I don't know if that would work, if how that would go over, but I don't know.
Uh,
That's a kind of yeah.
yeah, I mean, I personally don't think it should have a rating outside of like if it could have a TV rating, if it was like TVMA or something like that where yeah, of course you can't have, porn
Yeah.
in dreams.
Yeah.
But at the
Right.
same time, I feel like there's a few people and I know that uh oh man, what's his name? Typhus. I know
Yeah.
Typhus has been really, he's aired some grievances in the chat regarding the fact that, there are things that he likes making and he's, influenced by a lot of horror movies and stuff like that too. And that's where, like, that's kind of where his designs come from. And, just that he doesn't seem to have like a real way to put that out without breaching the rating. And
Yeah.
it reminds me of like Disney Plus just picked up all the Netflix shows, the Netflix Marvel shows, and everybody was worried that like some of the other things on Disney Plus, they would actually use CG to like change scenes to make it more family friendly, but they
Mm.
actually updated their whole system to where now you can set like a TVMA like setting on the profile to make it so that if you have kids that use your account or use have their own profiles, you can set what they can watch. And
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the route to go because
I,
I
yeah.
feel like with dreams everybody should be able to put their stuff out there.
I think that's the smart way to do it. That's the way that is the most. But to me, that makes the most sense because it's completely user controlled. It's like, yeah, I don't know. That's the most user friendly way and the most. And that wouldn't be hard to implement. Well, I say that I don't know how to make games. I don't know, but I don't know. I immediately as soon as I said that, I was like, why did I just say that? Like I don't like, like that stuff. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna reverse that. It would be nice if they could do it if they because I know obviously we all know that MM is very has always been family friendly for sure.
Yeah. Oh no. Did we lose him? Did we lose him for good? Oh no. Guys. Guys, we might have burned him out. So let me go to chat while we get him back. Um, let me see here. Let's see. I've always wondered if there was a from Juvie. Let's see. I've always wondered if there is a way to make a single use code for someone to enter a dream so you could make a system to enter a code and when the code is entered it can't be ever used again. Huh. I do believe yeah, he's just really deep in thought. But I've actually seen someone told me a logic person told me that they've actually created a way to do that. So, well, at least to like lock people out through code or through logic and having to put in a code, but I haven't seen it implemented in a dream yet. So I'm not sure. I'm not the guy to sit up here and tell you like, yeah, of course I can be done. But I've been told that there is someone who already has the system of logic set up to do that. Um I really think there should be a child friendly option in dreams and an option to mark your dream as child friendly or not. I agree. I mean, the one time is the key word here. Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the one time, it would have to generate, and this person said they could make it. I I don't know if they have yet, but I was told. I was told. So we'll see. We'll also see if Wargarble gets back here. Yeah. Someone needs to create that and make it remixable. I mean, if this person finishes it, I'm sure they will. Since you can reset a dream, you can avoid the one-time thing, though, right? I hey, y'all know me in logic, okay? Y'all know I don't know. Yeah, y'all know I don't know the intricacies of it, but this person said it could happen, so we'll see. Since you can reset a dream, you can avoid the one-time thing. Internet shutdown, probably. I don't think you could do that in dreams alone. Prove me wrong. I mean, hey, you know, if I mean, when I was told this by this person, it was a year ago. So either they're planning on using it. Oh, hey, he's back. He's
I
back,
guess I'm
ladies and
back. I don't know what
gents.
happened. All right. Anyway,
Yeah, so they've gotten into this whole conversation in chat right now about single storage passwords and like keeping people from being able to access it multiple times to like lock your
mm,
dream. Um, but
mm.
you can reset the dream, can you not? I mean, it would have to be in the code. I don't know, guys. I mean, if I'm not going to throw this person out there because I just don't, I'm not going to put that heat on them, especially with the fervor that seems to be going on in the chat. But all I will say is put it out into the on Twitter, and if this person sees it, they might be able to go ahead and throw their system your way. Um, so yeah. Anyway, where were we?
Remember what I was talking about? I don't remember.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right. Um, I am just curious. I always hope someone has a nice invention. Oh, well, that's one thing we can talk about. Uh, Coinem, Coinem posted earlier today and said, "Yes, this is real. I made a picture importer for Dreams PS4. Tomorrow,
Oh,
I will release everything to the public and even explain how you can import images yourself. It's been tough keeping this a secret since I first got the idea in November, but I'm so happy it's finally here. I will post this link in chat because come tomorrow, this person's probably hired at Media Molecule." I don't like. There you go. So there's the link for those who want it, and yeah, that's that's interesting.
I saw that on Twitter, and I don't understand anything with logic, so that was that's why I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
with you
I
on
think
that.
somebody mentioned something about trans audio into color or something. I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's even.
the ongoing theory as to how this person is pulling this off is that it's taking audio and taking or an image, uploading it as audio information, and then putting it into You're above my pay grade immediately. Like I don't know. Okay, so but that
Interesting.
what was that? There, I just had a thought. Oh, when we were talking about film and being that it was like the first thing that brought you into dreams,
Hmm.
which would you say you enjoy more, film or game dev?
To me, they both have their own great thing. I enjoy them both just for different reasons, I guess. It's like obviously with film, I just can't wait to do more of that for sure. But um, it's cool building the scenes and then seeing it come together. I mean, how I edit it anyway, since all mine's stream of consciousness. Even when it comes to my films, I don't know if I'm going to script them, which might sound insane to people, but I
No.
just so because there's an animator I like, Felix Colgrave, I believe is his name, and he animates without even outlining stuff, which usually animators try to outline stuff because you don't want to animate more than you have to since it takes forever. But um, I mean, I kind of build the same way, so it's I like that process of building the scenes each and watching it build together. I get all that sort of stuff, and then with games, yeah, I don't know. I enjoy both for sure. Like all the creative stuff I do, whether it be that or making music, and like it's just I enjoy them all. They each have their spot for sure. So,
Hmm. See, I can I can say that for me it's film.
yeah,
Now, I agree that you really hit the nail on the head. There's a reason that, gaming is basically the top form of entertainment now by a long shot. Like
it's
that
yeah,
interactivity allows it to be more real.
for good or for
Certain things,
worse.
yeah.
For good or for worse.
Yeah. And so like but for me it's just nothing beats like it's similar to the argument of like s- uh of open world gaming versus
Mm.
um what do you call it, like a structured campaign where it's like
Linear.
yeah, linear campaign, there you go, because it's
Yeah.
like there's the idea of like yeah you can create these vast worlds, but for me the vast worlds are awesome, like I have nothing to say negative about them, but if I'm going to be interacting with them I kind of want there to be a direction. Like I
Hmm.
want to see what that person made this world for. And there's nothing to say that they didn't just make a world so you could run around in it. Like I mean, that could be it. But
Right.
it's like, I'll always enjoy something like Uncharted 2 over something like Horizon. And
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
that's just thing. Both amazing games, guys. Don't kill me. Both amazing games that are just mastery of game development and craft. Okay, I got nothing bad to say. But for me, it's just like I think that's why I enjoy movies more. Is the fact that
Mhm.
I can like nothing beats that feeling of like when I was in well, when I used to go to the theater, because I don't do that anymore, unfortunately. But going to the movies with your friends and then sitting out in the parking lot afterwards and just talking about the movie. Like
Yeah.
seeing how everyone took it in, what stood out to them, like what they liked, disliked, you know, whether someone had that friend that hates everything and then you're just rolling your eyes across the parking lot. It's just like nothing beats that. And it probably comes from me and my brother constantly crushing films. And as I always tell people, I feel very, very confident saying that I've probably seen more movies than 99 point, I say 5 to be generous, percent of the population on the planet. Like I think the only person that probably I could automatically be like, okay, yeah, that guy's seen more movies. It's probably Quentin Tarantino because
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah.
Oh yeah, and
It's
for
probably
those
fair
that
to
didn't
say.
yeah, and for those that didn't see it, I did put the Felix Colgrave YouTube link in chat
Nice.
so that you guys can check that out. Um because I have seen his work. So, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just, but the way you just described it, where it's like that, they might not have scripts. Like that for me is just like, what? No, because of, like I
Yeah.
said, the way my mind works is just like,
Right.
but that's beautiful. Like that's the beauty of art in itself. So,
It's
yeah.
the way everybody approaches it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the fact that we're not all
It's,
the same, that we have our styles, we have the things we have things we want to express. I just have a lot of things, which is the reason I have a podcast, that I want to say. So for me, it's like I'm gonna say this, and
yeah.
this is like that's how my brain structures around it. But I've made random stuff, not a lot, but some random stuff. You'll never see it. No, you'll never see it. Never see me be. As my friend says, you just don't like to have fun. So that's so Captain No Fun here. I was like, yeah, there's stuff probably people will never see. So I'm just like, that's for me. That's just for me. But we'll see. We'll see. Come
There's
time.
nothing exactly wrong with that. So,
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me.
uh,
Was it you? I can't remember if it was. Yeah, I think it was you that said that you never release, or not never, but that like you don't release assets to the Dreamiverse. Like everything you
oh, here
create
we
is
go.
yours.
It's yeah. So a long time ago, I'd said that I don't do remixable stuff.
Yeah.
I just make stuff for
Oh,
myself, and then
believe
yeah,
me,
I
I'm not pointing it out as a negative. I
yeah,
just remembered all of a sudden.
yeah. That was I caught a lot of flack on Twitter for that, which is hilarious. But
Hmm.
people, I don't know, I don't. People were saying some, I don't know. This is kind of ridiculous. There was a weird sense of entitlement, I think, that came from that from some people. But when I said that, but because it's like it's an optional thing, as it should be, and nobody's obligated to give their stuff away. It's very nice for those who do, absolutely, but it has always been an optional thing, and like I appreciate that people like what I do. Obviously, it means a lot, but I don't know. I'm just not going to give away like building, because that gets to the whole topic of like it takes a long time, it takes your lifetime to build your own personal creative voice stuff. It doesn't just happen immediately. It takes time, and that sort of style of mine, I do recognize that I do have. I mean, I worked on that since I was a kid, so I don't really want to just give it away. It doesn't mean I don't like helping people. I just yeah, I think there's a lot of streamers out there who are very skilled and who do give their stuff as remixable. That you could break their stuff apart and learn from and go that route. But yeah, I just always make stuff for myself. Very few things. I think I made when Media Molecule did the Dreamwalk at the start of lockdown. I made one for that, and that had to be remixable. And one of the first things that happened after I made that remixable was somebody remixed it and just sent it to me, and I was like, oh, maybe they added something. And I looked at it, and there was like nothing changed, which I guess that's what people do. But it's like I don't know, some of that's a little silly, but
Oh
I
no,
don't know. It's
I agree with you. It's the option to do
yeah,
it is fantastic, and there's
yeah,
people who only make assets for other people to use. That's their contribution to the Dreams community. But
yes,
there's certain things like, I mean, if I make a character and people have now seen my characters, I've finally been able to post them online and things.
look great.
I apologize. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Actually,
It-
that's awesome.
yeah.
But whether they're good or not, you will, and I really apologize for this, guys. I do, because unless I make it for you, you're not getting your hands on it. That's it's just these characters are characters I've waited years to tell my story with, and that's just the kicker. Like I don't want to see like my Breach character from A Good Place to Die being you. One, I don't want somebody to remix it and then be like, it's mine. That
No.
That'll just break my heart. Honestly, it'd make me feel really bad. But I don't want to see that character used outside of the story that I've been waiting a decade to tell.
Mhm.
So I mean, I get you, because there are other things where I'm just like, throw it out there. Like, if I do anything
It's-
for Jam or something, and where
mm.
it's like I did with Keld's Dreams Flicks, it's like, yeah, I mean, I can't even really use my own stuff for that. It's just, it's just kind of throwing assets together, seeing how it works out, going with it. Yeah, y'all can, people can have that stuff, and I might make an asset for that, which I did. I made 2 or 3, and then just be like, hey, take it, do whatever you want. But things that are like really close to me, because I'm not a
Mhm.
pioneer like Wargarble, but I'm not I'm not a pioneer. I'm not a pioneer like some of these people out here, like it, where it's just like, uh when you see, or when like Martin or Robo, or then like they came up with these ways to do things that people had no idea how to do. And so then it was like, yeah, they like at first they weren't explaining, but then when they realized people just didn't know, they were like, oh, yeah, well, this is how you do it. There's stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, as Jamie would put it, share techniques. I
Yeah, I
think,
don't mind explaining exactly. I don't
yeah,
sharing information like that. That's totally fine.
yeah,
I
that,
think the problem I have, and this is obviously not everybody. It's just a couple folks that I don't like when, I guess it's how people approach it. Like if somebody asks, that's fine. People can ask, like, hey, could you do this remixable? I'll say no, but I don't mind if somebody asks. So I don't. If somebody asks, that's fine. But like, yeah, don't demand it. You know what I mean? So there's, because I've dealt with that. So where somebody, you get, but that's anywhere, I guess. But yeah, people start making demands like, you need to do these characters. I want these for this thing. Blah blah blah. And it's like, goodbye. So, no, no, I don't got time for that. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it's about to all. Yeah, it was,
yeah,
that was super early on. One thing I just remembered though, I thought this kind of, I don't know why this makes me laugh. I was very really lucky to get to get into the Dreams beta initially, because it's whoever had was signed up for the newsletter, I think.
yeah,
And then and so I remember being on, I think it was the Dreams Discord, I think. And no, and that was, people didn't know me then or whatever, but I just, everybody was real upset when that happened. Everybody was real upset. That's how they were going about it, and they're kind of, ranting, which is whatever. I mean, everybody's excited for Dreams, so I get it. But I just made a comment like, "Hey guys, I got in," and everybody got so, because they thought I was boasting, I guess. But I like, there was there was even some big names. I'm not going to mention names because it's no big deal. But there was some names that just like, I think they moderated me on that when I said that. I thought it was, I don't know. There's some random thing. It has nothing to do with anything. I just thought it was funny.
well,
Anyway,
that,
that's the story went nowhere. But anyway, so,
hey, I mean, I can understand that. Some people probably were mad. I've told the story before, but had I known, I probably would have been just like, I wish I could have gotten.
it was. I
But
understand. I do miss the beta days sometimes, because that's what everything was. Everything was like, like everything was new, and like just people posting very simple stuff was amazing. So like,
so on that
anyway,
on that topic, because we talked about it the other week on the podcast, like what's something like if Dreams blows up? I personally think it's only a matter of time. But so let's pose it from that stance. When Dreams blows up, what's going to be something that you dislike about it hitting the mainstream?
um, I mean, I don't know. I think the only thing, the thing that would annoy me is something I can avoid, which is that obviously the more people you get, the more you're gonna see stuff that you're gonna see more Mario's and Sonics. You're gonna see Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. That's inevitable because people, that inspires people, and I get why people make that stuff. I understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to see memes and that stuff for me, and so it's like that stuff I can just avoid. So that's really, I think you'll see more of that. And again, I just don't have to look at it. So, that's, I don't know. I don't know in any other way though. If it blows up, it's gonna be. I'm gonna roll my eyes when people go, "Oh wow, Dreams is great," and it's like, yeah, we've been telling you that, but like that's gonna be annoying. That so, like that's. Other than that, I don't know if I have another specific answer. Is there something that bother you? You think?
uh, I can't remember what my answer was. um back when we proposed this question, but
Mm,
for me it's but the thing that immediately comes to mind was kind of like the same worry that I had for, I don't know, when Dreams first started, was kind of like, I love influencers and people like shedding light on
mm,
Dreams, but I also just have this thing. It's in the back of my mind where it's like, but how are they going to do it? Because there's been a couple of people who, I've watched their Dreams videos, and it's they both take advantage of how little known it is,
mm,
like to get the clicks, but then they also turn right around and like dump on it.
yeah.
And so, like, whenever there's a spike, you'll see somebody throw out something that's, I always talk, I don't even remember who did it because I don't watch the dude, but somebody was like, Dreams is a powerful tool, but use something else. And it's like, what is that's not even really the type of negative thing I'm worried about, but it's just like, because people say all publicity is good publicity. Like, there's no such thing as bad publicity. People getting your stuff out there gets it out there. But the idea that when it blows up, if the voices that have been in the community aren't the ones leading the charge socially through social networks, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, if those aren't the people at the forefront of really sharing with the world why Dreams has blown up and what it
Mm.
offers, that really that kind of gets me in a way. Like,
Understand that.
that's kind of like that encompasses all my fears. Like, those are all in there, cuz I just, I don't want some, even within the Dreams community, like, there are pockets of toxicity that,
Yeah.
that some of them well known, really well known and respected. And the idea of that being a reflection of the Dreams community worries me a bit. And
Yeah.
then, like I said, then you add in the YouTube dudes with different color hair and their gimmicks and all that other stuff, and that just completely just, I'm just like, man,
That
hopefully
derailed it when that happened.
y- huh?
I think that really harmed stuff when that happened. When
Yeah,
people like was whether yeah, the famous YouTubers of Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie, those people,
yeah,
when they play it, it's well, I get what they're doing because that's their audience. They go to the silly meme stuff because that's what they can make a video on. That's the content. So, which, yeah, I mean, that was always frustrating to me. No, I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you.
yeah,
That fear, I totally get that fear.
yeah. Because
Because like if yeah,
well, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say if it gets Dreams gets its real big push again and really showcases stuff with, like we're hoping if the YouTubers go back to it. I mean, I don't know if they will, but if they did, yeah, I mean,
If the clicks told them to go back to it, they go back to it.
they go yeah, right, and they're
Like,
probably gonna be like, what other silly games are? They'll just like I don't know.
yeah,
They're gonna play those things. They're gonna play the Shrek games because it I don't know gets or some whatever. So,
yeah.
but hopefully, I don't know. Like, there's only one YouTuber who does reviews that I watch on occasion. I think his name's ACG or something like that.
I think I've seen that.
And he did a review, but he didn't look at anything silly. He looked at like an original creation. So I admired that. I can't remember what it was. It was oh my gosh, I don't remember the name of it. I don't remember who did it because my memory's terrible. But if you saw it, you would know what I was talking about. I think it was a squirrel was the main character, and there was like a wooden platform that goes over a lake. It's like a platformer somebody made a long time ago. I don't remember the name. I'm not describing it very well either. Um,
Hmm.
I remember it being like real charming. I don't. So he looked at that, and he was just looking at the engine itself, looking at how like people use Dreams grass, that sort of thing, and actually looking at it from that perspective. But I still didn't like it because he was still trying to review it as if it was done. Like
Yeah.
like you can't review Dreams like that. Like you can't. It's an ongoing thing, as we all know. It's you, and they should know, especially reviewers know how long games take to make, especially everyday folks like ourselves who aren't doing this for a living. Like, so it's that stuff. I don't know. I think if people want to do a review of it, maybe they should wait a couple of years, then come back to and go, "Where's Dreams at?" See what people have been up to, and then do another couple of years. See where it's at now. Let's see what people
Yeah.
have been up to. Have they kept up with their creations? Have they kept up with this? Has this released? And then they'll see that people are doing professional stuff. They'll see that people have took their game concepts and dreams and are making them and putting them on Steam and stuff. I think Acert was doing that, right? Didn't Acert do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if all that's getting acknowledged because I'm not reading all the news of Dreams at the moment, so I don't know if any of that's been acknowledged, but it should be, so people can see like it, like we were talking about before. It is useful. Like Dreams absolutely is useful to, like you're saying, like Blueprint, like yeah, do all that stuff. It's that's always the ultimate frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's that narrative that's always there. Like I'm sure there's still people asking what's Dreams. I imagine there's still people out there asking that. Which at that point, that's on them for not looking it up. But it's yeah. Hopefully we get there. Hopefully it gets there at some point where people really like see what the hell this is, and that it is actually ahead of the curve with what's going on, and then, like it freedom of it. It's I thought it was a weird thing that people couldn't wrap their head around. Like, oh, these aren't pre-made assets. You make this yourself. And then when they did wrap their head around it, it's like immediately they didn't want to take the time to develop a skill. Like when they realize it's a skill, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it does take time. And I get people are busy. I get people have families, people work, and I understand. But it's like doesn't mean I don't know. I don't know. It's such a complicated thing. I think because there's nothing else like it on consoles, so that's why it's weird. I think, and people just aren't used to it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
yeah,
and it's people hit walls. It's like when people hit a wall and it's not immediately done for them, they lose the drive. But those people were never going to make it anyway. Like just to be honest, it's just if you hit a wall, I mean, God knows how many walls I've freaking hit. But yeah, but if you hit a wall and you're just like, oh, I guess I just can't do it. Like, you know, but there's
it's
still the opportunity within Dreams to just go, oh, well, I'll do something else. But most people don't like it's like if I can't do it this way, I can do it this way though. And and it just yeah. Payoff Wizard said, I don't think Dreams will ever become mainstream. If it ever did blow up, it will be because a game in Dreams goes viral. I think that will be the reason it gets a lot of shine.
will be it. Yeah, it won't be multiplayer. It'll be
Yeah.
the games that are created. So yeah.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. It's me. Juvie said, I don't think I would have ever gotten into Dreams so much if it wasn't for me making a fan game for some streamer. Huh. Well, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's basically, like I said, it's, I think it's going to blow up. It's just not going to blow up like Elden Ring.
You're right.
It's a completely different animal. It's going to blow up in the sense of, hey, there's this creation engine on a console that people have opportunities to actually either begin their journey into a bunch of different mediums
Mm.
or create things in that platform that allows them to actually break into the mediums professionally. And that is a much harder thing to dictate or a much harder thing to like label success on because it's like I said earlier, if I believe it's you know, if I believe that the future of it truly is to become something more akin to the Unreal Engine, then it's going to be something that's building. I mean, how long has the Unreal Engine been around? Like,
God, it's yeah.
yeah, like
Wow.
so if Dreams has that same growth trajectory, I mean, there are a few things as we always talk about that once that happens, it literally changes the entire game.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like with that understanding and with how many people truly believe that, whether it be exploitation, multiplayer, the sliding scale for opacity on shapes, the bake to paint, which is going to be insane. They like, just like, good Lord.
Like, what
But
else is going to be in that 10-year plan?
yeah, and
It's
it's
10
just,
years.
and people are already doing something to, like, there are people making money. So it's just like, if you can't, because this is how it comes off to me. And I've said this before and nobody got mad at me, but I feel like I could be easily misunderstood. If your goal is to make money within Dreams, and a lot of your frustration comes from the fact that you can't export a game, my idea would be, why not make something else right now? Because people are making things. Like,
Yeah.
if you need the clicks, take the image off PlayStation, put it on your Twitter. It's art. It's still art. Like, if you want to make a short or a short film, then
It's an animated film. That's
yeah.
yeah.
So it's just, I understand the frustration of it, but I also feel like nobody was lied to. And sometimes, not everyone, so don't take offense if you ain't one of these people, but sometimes people act like they were lied to. Like they thought like a lot of this stuff would be there already. And I don't think that was ever the case. I don't think dates were ever given for anything. Dreams was what you got.
Yeah.
So, I
That's yeah.
mean, let me see here. Entropy Tamed, welcome. Says multiplayer games have a higher replay value, higher probability of going viral. True.
Yeah.
True. Co-op games are that for me. Which is, it's kind of like I've said this a billion times, and I even wrote about it last week on Twitter because of the Returnal news where they're making it co-op. Bro, and I've been playing Elden Ring. I've been deciding whether or not I actually want to stream me playing Elden Ring, but I've been playing Elden Ring with friends, and it's literally like all my complaints about how, like, the idea of making these big worlds and stuff, it's like, oh, it's vast, and the world, you can walk across it, it'll take you 3 years. Like, all this stuff. I'm just like, yeah, but I have to do it alone. And therefore, all my want to do it, like, I don't want it, like, even the things that are like the most annoying, like fetch quest and stuff like that, they're more fun if you have a friend with you. So it's like, I've been playing, and I've played Elden Ring, some of it alone. But man, when me and my friends from college actually get on and we're just running as a 3-man squad, just doing whatever, it's like instantly becomes top 5 games of all time. Now, a lot of people don't need that for it to be in that echelon, but for me, it's immediately top 5 games of all time when I can play with my friends in this huge, open, detailed world that literally you can't find the bottom of. It's a pit that has no bottom. It's insane. So, yeah.
Only 2 games I think open world that I really enjoy: the lonesome quality, which I think they were designed for, which is like Death Stranding. I personally like, even though there is obviously the idea of connection with it, but you're still alone. And then I actually enjoyed No Man's Sky at launch. So in the whole idea was that you were alone before they obviously improved it, made the game better. But like, I don't know, but I do agree. I love co-op. It does just elevate a game completely from completely like local
Yeah.
co-op stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It really has been a lost art of gaming for like the last 15 years. It's
Cheat
like,
codes.
everything. Bring back the game genie. No, so, but no, it really is, because it's like, as games have gotten bigger and all this stuff, it's like they were like, multiplayer, that's where it is, and I'm just like, but I don't want to talk to those people. Just, I want to talk to my people, which sometimes still works, but then you get a lack of polish on the other end. It's like,
Right.
yeah, you can play with your people, but the game that you're playing with them in, yeah, it's built more about multiplayer and grinding and microtransactions and all that stuff. It's not about someone, giving you the full vision like Elden Ring, which I hate to keep bringing it up, but Elden Ring really is a great game. And if you can play with friends, you won't even get mad when you die. It'll become a joke that everybody can laugh at. It's so much fun.
I've been tempted to get it, but I don't. I have so much. I'm terrible at finishing games.
See, that's why I'm taking the break as well from Dreams, why I've been away for 2 weeks, because since I bought Dreams, I hadn't finished any game. Any game. I didn't finish Ratchet and Clank. I didn't finish I didn't finish Returnal. I didn't finish Cyberpunk. I didn't finish, which I just bought, to be fair, because it was, like the update. But like every game, I've bought a lot of games and I haven't finished any of them. For the most, I play like maybe like 2 hours the first night, and then I go back to Dreams. I'm like, oh, that reminds me of something I can do with Dreams. And that's it. That's the last time you see that game. So
I never finished Returnal either. I got stuck at the third biome, and then I just got distracted from that. I never finished Deathloop, which I'm loving. I want to get back to Deathloop. Yeah, I got a list too. I got Dying Light 2, which I was enjoying, and then I just never went back.
that's the way it happens. And so I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like something's going wrong. And maybe I need to just step back a little bit and just, recharge the battery. I'm thinking I might stretch it to 3 weeks. I might. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard on Twitter though, because every day I see all the stuff people are working on. I'm like, yes, that's amazing. All these streamers are freaking awesome. And I just get hype and I'm like, yeah. So I haven't even been on Twitter that much either. Like today, I jumped on Twitter this morning just to like catch up a little bit. And I haven't been paying attention to anything. It's just Elden Ring and personal health.
That's important, man. You got to look after yourself. Like I'm making myself not get Ghostwire Tokyo because I really want that, but I'm like I want to be able to play it and beat it, but I can't. I just can't. I'll put it on a list. Just a list of games I'll eventually get to, just not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gents, I do believe we've reached the end of the episode. I know it's not as long an episode as Keld's. That man's, I don't know how people do it, but
I had to pee so bad after that. I'm sorry for that info, but I had to pee so bad.
Do you have to pee now though? That's the real question.
I do. And I was just being nice and just let you know what I mean, because that's how I am. It's probably unhealthy. I should
quite. You should have gone to the bathroom already, sir. It's not that serious. But guys, it's been amazing. I'm sorry, Juvie, to leave you. I'm sorry. But we'll be back next week with Tomaton, and then we got to get April's schedule going because we rescheduled that roundtable. So.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for doing this. It means a lot.
I truly hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Absolutely. We should definitely talk more. If you want to, I'd be happy to do it.
All right, don't take it. Don't get mad when I slide up in them DMs, bro. Don't be like, I wish he'd leave me alone.
Oh God, what have I done?
You've opened the gates. I'm gonna be like, yo, man. So about the movies, like it's just gonna be that every day. No, I'm just playing, but. Yeah, man. I like I tell people, I always have the worry that I've bored like the guest to death on this thing. It was great to have you. We gotta get you back at some point. Whenever the planets align again, we need to get you back in. Hopefully with a group of people. Hopefully with a round table, so we can all just and James will be back probably next week. He just had to take the he had to take the day off because yeah, it's been pretty rough for him lately. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I hope everyone enjoys themselves and has a wonderful weekend, and I appreciate each and every one of you that come through here every week. So I have to get to the post. I have to get to the cutting everything up and getting it up and doing all that stuff. But Wargarble, it has been an honor, and I'm glad that you came on um and talked about movies with me. I never get the chance to do it as much as I want anymore. But
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely, man.
yeah, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out.